I had points right before I came out where, when I was about 20, where I hit absolute rock bottom. And I won't go into details now, but I was in a very difficult spot. And it was a teammate who spotted everything and basically pulled me aside and was like, what's going on? And I probably could have flown through and for a few more months or however long, or not, struggling. But because she was around me all the time, and we were friends, and we had that bond of her being able to feel like she could say something, she did. And that's what led to, me coming out. And I felt safe, and I felt looked after, and I felt seen. And she was an incredible ally and remains a friend to this day. So I think if I was on my own, if I wasn't in that sporting environment, who would have picked that up?
One of the things I love about football from a mental health perspective and from a queerness perspective is it's this place where you can feel within yourself, and you feel like totally that your body is connecting with other people around you, and you can embrace your own physicality. And with men, that's so much more fraught because their sexuality is you're assumed to be heterosexual if you're a male footballer, and so you have this sort of men bonding on the pitch and physically bonding on the pitch and having like this really beautiful experience. But if that was ever to be insinuated to have any kind of like sexuality to it, they really shut down, and it really causes this kind of like it's all internalized homophobia that's then like coming out at each other. And so I think it's such a shame, because when we think as queer sports people about what we love about football, it's something that's not open to a lot of straight presenting or straight men in footballs. They're sort of shutting themselves off from those experiences. We're living in a climate where there's this conversation that's happening around trans women in sport, which is saying that, trans women shouldn't be playing sport, what if it's unfair, what if it's this? And people who've never met trans women, people who've never played sport with trans women, people who don't care about women's sport are involved in that conversation. And I would just say, come down to a Gold Diggers training session, like come and see our like gender diverse group of people playing football. You will be so bored by the lack of issues here. Like there's nothing to see, there's no like drama here at all. There is just people's power and joy, and the people who, I guess because you find a home in football, you're willing to commit so much of your life to it. And I think it's amazing to see the power that trans, non-binary, queer players bring, because you want to sustain that community. We recently had to leave a league that we've been playing in for years because there was transphobia towards a non-binary player in that league. But a lot of other teams also left that league, and we found that sense of like community and solidarity that meant that we were like, okay, we can move on. But it's an amazing thing in the team to be able to feel like, as a non-binary, I can be out a non-binary and play football, and I don't have to pretend to be a woman or pretend to be whatever to say like to want to play football.
The abuse is about your identity. You're not often the safest person to address it, and that's where allyship really comes in, and being able to sort of call it out, call it in, and make it really clear that language isn't acceptable. And it's everything from chants and big noises of crowds, but often those little tiny ones are, one-on-ones or in the locker room, or what a coach might say that can be more harmful, because they're so common and so prevalent in terms of, what your people sort of, even if you do call it in, it's oh no, I didn't mean it like that. It's just, or just
leave the pants and it's have a laugh, and
it's that, or people are. I remember when I was a young person thinking somebody just said something homophobic. It really hurt me, and I know it might hurt other people here, but I can't call it out because then they might suspect.
Yeah.
And kind of looking around and hoping someone else would say something, and then no one ever did.
I think it's, about deliberately creating that safe environment. For me, coming out is so much more about the group of people I'm with than it is about myself. Like, I think if you're going to be that one male out person on the pitch, that is a huge responsibility compared to being one of many out lesbian women footballers. Being a non-binary footballer, again, you're going to be maybe the only one. And so there's a lot of things where it's actually, if you're the only one, it's more about the people around you. And I think at Gold Diggers, we start every session with names and pronouns. And what is great about that, I think, is that you know everyone's name. People's names are unlikely to change one day. But even if we know everybody's name we're with, we always do names and pronouns. And sometimes someone will actually say a new pronoun for the first time. And it's an opportunity if every single week you're asking someone your pronouns. And you know, one day a player might go, oh, my pronouns are they, them. You don't have to have a big coming out moment and go around to all of your friends or your family and say, actually identify as non-binary now. You can just, within that held space, say, oh, my pronouns are they, them. And as long as that is like accepted by everyone around you, it feels like, yeah, that's a really safe environment to be queer and be yourself. And how you sustain that throughout the game and making sure that you say to the referee, like, please use gender neutral language. We have a team with trans non-binary players.
And the final thing I would say as well is like never dismiss anybody's identity. You see this a lot in people who are like pretending to be positive, or you know, oh, I don't care if they're gay, don't bring that into football. It's my biggest pet peeve. I hate it so much. It's a big part of who I am in sport. It intrinsically motivates me. The courage I have and the confidence I have in my life are because I'm gay. I want that on the pitch. By telling me not to bring it into the pitch, you're telling me to leave behind
your personality,
my personality, my powers, all of that. It has everything to do with sport.